base of your organization. You know what I mean? And then the rest kind of is hit or miss as far as how much they help. But you'll usually only end up with about that many people doing the work. So again, it can yield anywhere from 2,000 on up. We haven't made less than 2,800 doing it. So 2,800 on up. So it's super fun for parents and mentors. So in order to plan a Quartermania event, you're going to start with choosing the venue. I would suggest that you attempt to get everything donated that you can. So if anybody was to attempt to charge you for something, you're going to present them with a set of paperwork that explains what the organization does, what the event is about, and what you're using the money for. And the day that we chose actually clashed with the U of M game and the Spartan versus Spartan. So we've actually learned the hard way that it does take a lot of date seeking to find the right date. And what you'll want to do is have 2 or 3 dates in mind, so when you go back to your venue, you're able to secure that. So when I mean venue, you want to make sure it's something that appropriately is going to hold like 100 to 150 people. You also want to make sure that it's something you can serve food at, that you can actually, I mean, you can actually charge, have an event that actually charges people for food where they can order food. But we actually had our parents' organization actually bring in food. We actually had the food donated. So we called it a dinner, but I think on our next marketing we're going to call it a light meal or a light dinner or a snack. Because certainly it's not necessarily a dinner. The first time we did it, we had one of our parents make lasagna, and she did that for everybody. But we have a lot of donations to actually make that happen. Again, don't pay for anything, try to get everything donated. So we had all of these donated, some gift cards, we had some meat that was donated by the local butcher shop. We had Jet's Pizza donated the salads, and then Gus donated the breadsticks. And then Beauchamp's donated the water. So again, you want to make sure you get everything donated. And let's face it, people like to eat and they also like to drink, right? So this is an event that would be solely run by your parents' organization, not necessarily have your teens or your kids run. When we planned the February date, we realized that that's smack in the middle of the season. And we actually did it like the weekend before that day. But actually it wasn't really a problem because the mentors that were actually building the robot and backing weren't actually working on the Quartermania. They just had to show up and have a good time. And that would have been any activity that they may have partaken in that time of year. Didn't necessarily have to be this season. So that actually wasn't a conflict, even though February was our date. So we actually had our parents' organization do a lot of work with that as well, as far as setting up, etc. And they were involved in the backing process either. As was the non-build season, we were actually caught up, so it wasn't a problem. So you want to start as far ahead of time as you can. You want to begin 6 months ahead of time. So if your team is somebody that meets you around like ours, we usually start planning right around the fall, and we usually start with the initial making contact with some of the initial donors. You'll want to start by having a team fundraising meeting where you invite your parents' organization, and then you also invite the parents of all of your teams. Now, fall is a good time for us to get started because our FTC team, our FLL team, and our JFL team all meet in the fall for their build season. Otherwise, it's difficult to get them involved after they have already competed, just as it is, for your FRC team. So you want to make sure you have a strong set of paperwork, which includes your tax ID number, your mission and purpose, the date and time of the event, who do they contact, and how the donor will be recognized. Now, yeah, go ahead.
Is your parent organization a 501c3? Is that the tax ID?
We are actually, our tax, that's a good question. Our tax ID number is, we're actually a 107C1, I think it's the IRS subsection code for the government. We're actually not a 501c3. Now, we've thrown around the idea of becoming a 501c3. There are times when that works to our advantage, and there's times when it works to our disadvantage. Now, there's some grants and loans we apply for that you can only be in education, an educational facility in order to be able to qualify for those loans. And then there's some where you can only be a 501c3 in order to receive a grant, like for instance Delphi, okay? So, yeah, so we've thrown it around. The only problem we're seeing with the 501c3 is that it requires an actual leadership board, like a decision-making board. And we're afraid with our, with parents who have the opportunity to come and go in the program, that they may not be with the program forever. Now, that said, we've got a strong leadership board. It's the same leaders we've had for 6 years, even though some of them don't have students in the program anymore. We still have leadership that's really strong, including a connection to the school. So we were sort of thinking that maybe our Howell Education Foundation, which is a 501c3 that actually does programs for the high school and the middle school, they actually will fund different program opportunities separate from the school. We're actually thinking that maybe they would help us out being leadership board, or there's been times where we've been able to put our grant money through them and then they reimburse us back for it. So it's kind of 6 in one, half in another, and so we kind of dragged our feet on it, even though we filled out all the paperwork. Yeah.
So the tax thing that you're under,
Yeah.
do you have to have any, because with ours, we just started trying to get the 501c3
Yeah.
and all that. We've been told that in order to have any raffles, any, one way you return, we have to have licenses for that.
Yeah. Yeah, a gambling license is what you're
Yes.
saying. So when we looked into that under the criteria of actually like a gaming license, it's called, there's actual ways to sort of dodge the verbiage in that. So just look at it and dissect it really carefully. But basically, we had it at an outside venue. We didn't actually have it at the school, and so that was a big plus for us. Also, with being able to market it, because think about trying to market this through a high school, you know, where they serve alcoholic beverages. That was going to be the other parts of the venue. Yeah, because you want to make sure it's a place that serves alcohol. Because let's face it, when people are happy, they spend money. Right, Scott?
Yeah, lots of money.
On buckets of car
Yeah.
supplies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's how we've gotten around that, and we just had never really applied for it, but, yeah, it is a glitch in the process. So maybe if you hold it away from your actual, what team are you from?
House of Cards.
Okay,
Davison.
what city?
Davison.
Davison, okay, yeah. Are you through the high school over there?
Yes. Well, we're still affiliated with the school,
Yeah.
but we're not,
Yeah,
we
us
kind
too.
of ventured out on our trying to.
Right, us too, because we use their tax ID number, but we don't receive any money from them, so technically, they don't fund us, and so we're not part, you know what I mean? Like, technically, we're not part of the school. It's another one of those where, you know, it's all a matter of semantics. And it's kind of like that.
School's tax ID number?
That is the school tax ID number, the one that we use for our banking, yeah. And it's like a 3-8 number. And what I do is, so what I'm gonna do at the end of this, session is I'm going to collect your name and information on Google form, and I'm actually going to send you the document that we created so that you don't have to take any notes. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. And from the beginning to end, and it explains how to do it. It also has all our paperwork in it that we use, including the paperwork that we use to solicit the donations. So it actually has the verbiage in there that we use. So it actually explains that our fundamental mission is to promote STEM opportunities for all students of all ages in all communities. Because we do, at Howell Robotics, we accept students from everywhere, it's not just Howell. We have Milford, Highland, Fowlerville, everywhere. And we encourage people to come from everywhere to join our team. So, and that's also, we're able to get, we're also able to do that also because we're not specifically part of Howell.
So we could also get, because we're not technically, we could bring kids in from other
Yep.
schools and have them join the team.
Yep.
And, okay.
Yeah, we find that it promotes the mission of First Best.
Yes.
It best aligns with that, which is to inspire all students. And we want to give those opportunities to everybody.
But if you're directly right to the school, I mean, Scripps Middle School, that's the name of our robotics, then a lot of, we could apply.
So who does your funding? Who do, like, what
We
is
go
your
out to get our funding on our own.
And then who takes care of you? Who writes your checks?
The school.
Okay, so your account goes to the school. So if you collect money, say you get $3,000
Yeah,
from
yeah.
this, who do you give it to?
The school, well, the school liaison, yep.
The school liaison?
Yeah.
Okay, and then they give it to the school?
And then,
And the
I don't
school
know,
cuts your
they,
checks?
they hold on to it, then we write something, then they give us either card or check
Okay,
or,
and then do you see those balance sheets?
no.
And then, because I know you have a sticky situation too. You want to tell them what you're funding this through? Because it is challenging,
It's pretty much the same thing as his.
except you didn't see some of this because
Right.
it was going.
Right. We turned our money into the school, grants went into the school. We had a $4,000 windfall come in, went into the school. Next September comes along, I'm like, you know, hey, how much money we got in our accounts? You don't have anything. No, we should have at least $4,000.
I wanna make
And
sure
they're
that
like,
didn't happen to us. Yeah.
no, you don't have anything. We put that in the general fund and that disappears
Yeah.
in June.
Right.
That's what happened to our district.
Yep.
We kind of went, we kept ours, because we found out that, you know, some of our stuff wasn't getting paid. They said they were gonna pay, they were going to go to Kettering, one of the kickoffs or whatever. Well, and all of a sudden, oh, well, no, that money's not there. We knew we had already got money from sponsors that have been sponsoring us for years. And so then it
Oh,
just,
yeah, and the checks that we, you know, there was no rhyme or reason to, you know, where the checks were going. They wound up firing the lady that was
But then you
doing
didn't
it.
have anybody, right?
Right, well, they got a new girl in there and now it's being done completely different.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge if you're not part of the school. What team are you from? You're from Troy, right? Or no?
No, I'm currently from Hemlock. I used to be with 703.
Oh, okay.
So
And what about behind you? What team are you from?
1481, it's through Murphy High School,
In Novi?
in Farmington Hills.
Oh, Farmington, okay. And you're from
Like going,
Lake Orion and 1807, okay. That's your FLL team? Okay, Rising Eagles. Oh, that's from Heartland. Yeah, 1807. They did great, huh? Yeah, that's what I heard. That's amazing.
Awesome.
That's fantastic.
Super experience.
Yeah, you're from South Line, though, flying to Detroit.
No, I just judged there.
Oh, you just judged. Okay. You're from Heartland. Okay. Oh, you run the Heartland team, right? The FLL
That
team?
FLL team.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Good,
what-
because I want to talk with you too, because I actually run our FLL organization. Well, I don't build robots again, so I say that with smart people, but I have mentors and coaches that actually do it. But I accompany them to the competitions and things like that.
Yeah, I don't coach FLL anymore. I just,
Oh, you don't?
nope, I just lead the mentors and coaches for FLL.
Oh, yeah, that's what I do. See, and then you don't build robots that way. Yeah. So, yeah, and it's good because then I can see what everybody's doing. And it's nice that they have a resource person that does their paperwork and their, helps them with, helps them purchase stuff and navigate that whole system. They just tell us what we want and we buy it. So I was going to tell you that. So the way it works at our organization, I was telling you that the FTC has their own account, so does FLL, JFL, and FRC. So we also all have our own budgets as well. And those budgets are, they were started initially and then they're amended for the upcoming year. So we don't just roll them over and say, oh, this is your budget again. You get a chance as a mentor of that team, of that organization, to actually look through that and say, okay, well, I think that I spent way more than $300 last year on some office supplies to build these posters. I want to actually make that $400 this year. So then you amend your budget and then you turn it in the fall. And that's how that goes. So the way it works is if we want to buy something, and as long as it's in the budget, we're allowed to do that. So in other words, if we say, we want to purchase, 4 boxes to keep parts in, and they say, well, as long as you have money in your budget, then you can. So the decisions to purchase are made by the mentors, but the actual purchases are done through the leadership board. So in other words, the mentor can say, well, I want to buy these, I want to buy, a Ford Mustang to transfer the team in, and just because that's what he wants and he has it in the budget, you know what I mean? We don't say, okay, go ahead and buy it. It goes to the leadership, and leadership says, okay, yeah, that's fair, we need that. Because some coaches will think that they need something that they don't. You know what I mean? And it's nothing against them, but they just don't know what they need and they think they need it. And then as us, you know, the leadership board will actually say, well, I think that we can do that a little bit differently, and how about, you know, trying it this way? And we'll purchase this. Does that make sense? You know, like we'll take it back to them. So
The
yeah.
leadership board is
It's just
that's
a
not
group.
that's not the current robotics organization.
No, that's just our parent organization. We actually have a mentor that does that. She is part of the leadership board. So we also have mentors from each level of the team that actually fulfill the leadership board. And they're actually mentors versus coaches. So in other words, they have first experience, and then they have participated longer than a year, and they have also been approved by the current leadership board. And that's what makes up our leadership board. So it's pretty much the leaders of each level of the organization, including non-build, build, engineering, programming, and the parent robotics organization. Our scouting team has their own mentor. We actually have an organizational chart, and our teams, our mentors are broken down into different sections of the organization. One being, like, for instance, FTC is one section, chassis up is one section, lower chassis is another section, programming is another section, awards and safety are another section, business and management is another section. You know what I mean? So they're all broken up, and then there's leadership on top of that all those subgroups actually respond to. So the leadership is pretty much the people that make up the entire organization. And again, they're people, the same people we've had for 6 years. So I take care of the finances with another mentor on the non-build mentor. She does our finances as well. And so the finances, kind of the decisions, the leadership decisions, they don't just go through her and I, they come to her and I, and we bring them to the other leaders at the leadership meeting, and then the leaders will say, yeah, that's fine. And then she and I will say, okay, and she'll put it through. And then once that check gets written, that also has to be signed off by our teacher liaison, who's responsible for the account, and our high school principal. So it's not like you can just make a decision and, you know, go out and buy the Mustang. You know what I mean? It's a little bit complicated. It's not as easy as it sounds. But that way they make sure that there are people not buying things that they don't need, etc. And if somebody says, you know, I need 6 of these because 2 of them are broken, well, why are they broken? Let's look at the broken ones. Is this something we can repair? Is this something we can do without? Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's real easy to spend someone else's money. Let's put it that way. Right? So the other people have no problem just saying, oh, I need this, I want to spend money on it. Well, you know, that's how money disappears. So, yeah, so that's what we do. We keep a pretty tight hold on it. So, but anyway, so my tax ID paperwork is included in the Quartermania document, and I'm going to make sure that you all get a copy of that. So it also says, again, what the purpose of Quartermania is, and for us, we use it as a fundraising opportunity for our team, and you know, you can state whatever reason to buy, you know, what the team needs to succeed, etc. You can mention some of the accolades of your team in there, so that you know they might be interested in that. But basically, the set of paperwork that I've used for everything. When you go to the meeting that you've created for the team fundraising meeting, you're going to have all your parents there. It's not for the students, again, it's just for the parents. So this is something that just the parents are doing. Now I know it's great to get the kids involved, and like I get all that, but this is a lot of fun, and it's just sort of a different take on fundraising. There's lots of different ways your team can fundraise, but you know, let's face it, we all want an easy way to make a bunch of money. And what's really good about this is there's some amazing prizes, and I'm going to tell you about some of those. So you'll need about approximately 50 donations. I know that sounds like a lot, but you're going to be surprised when you start out that it's actually not as much as you thought it was going to be. For one thing, some of those, so multiple prizes can be created from one donation. So some of those 50 that you might receive, or 50 places that you wish to contact, I usually make a list of about 40, and I allow about, or maybe 35, and I allow about 10 or 15 of those as kind of open donations. And those are some that either come in the last minute, or there's some that we have created 2 prizes out of 1 donation with, or some of the parents at the last minute will also have stuff that and they also will create gift baskets for you. So you want to start with as many online donations as possible. Now, every company is a little bit different when it comes to soliciting a donation. Some of them want you to solicit at the store level. Some of the franchises want you to solicit at the corporate level. So it's just going to depend on the place and what their requirements are. Now, frequently you can go on sites like Pinterest or Google some of the ones that are a little bit closer. But what I'll try and do is I'll try to add to the document I have and try to include some of those because I've actually created a spreadsheet with all the information on it. So it'll actually give you an idea of who does what at what level, okay? So, for instance, the Cheesecake Factory, they require you to fill out a donation form and actually submit the paperwork at the store level. Bell Tire, you actually have to submit that at the corporate level. Now, some of them almost guarantee you a donation. Like Bell Tire, for instance, you just have to submit all your paperwork, and it pretty much says if there's a problem with this, we'll contact you. So pretty much you can guarantee that you get it. And they usually send a $50 gift card, which is great. Now, we usually take that $50 gift card. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can make that a prize by itself, or you can add to other things to it so that you can make it a better prize. Like, for instance, we received a donation from Hollow Softball Car Wash, and she donated 25 car washes, which is fantastic. But one person probably doesn't need 25, right? Unless you have OCD and you wash your car every week. Another day. Yeah. So anyway, but so we would take 5 of those, break 5 of them off, and so when you break it off from one prize, it can not only add value to the prize that another prize, but it can also add interest as well. So it can make it a little bit more interesting. So what we recommend also is that no prizes are less than like $25. So you want to try to seek $25. Again, that's not the goal. If somebody wants to give you a small donation, take that too. Take whatever you can get. But you're going to have your eye on 25 because usually the minimum prize is about $25. And the way we did it was $25 prize would have a 1/4 value on it, $50 would have a 2/4 value, and up to $1 for a $100 prize, which we would consider a 4/4 value. All right? So the way it works is, from seeing the game being played, is that each prize is assigned that quarter value. And that's on the tag itself. Each prize is also numbered. And I'm going to show you what that looks like on the list, so you'll be able to look across. So the quarter value has to do with how many quarters it takes to bid on that item. And then the bid is per paddle, which are actually paint sticks that we created to look like paddles. And again, donated by Sherwin-Williams, don't buy anything. So they donated those. And we've been able to recycle them, you know, every time we do it. We actually organize them into bundles of 25. That's something the students do on Sunday after. And we put them all back in. We organize them into bundles of 25. That's something the students do on Sunday after. And we put them all back in the box. So, say for instance, this has now you've come in, you bought your paddles. There were 3 paddles for $10. You bought all 3. And you want to bid on this bottle of water. Now you have paddles number 1, 2, and 3. There's a ball, a 1, 2, and 3 ball that corresponds with the paddle. And when you come in the door, they'll hand you the balls that go with your paddles. And you're going to put those in the raffle barrel roller. You saw that. It looks like a lottery ticket raffle barrel thing. And now this comes up for bid. And the MC, you want the MC to be a little bit dynamic and talk about, you know, the prize very, very briefly. But, oh, this is an amazing prize, you know, thanks to so-and-so from such and such. You know, they've always supported the robotics team. And these are pretty unique and hard to find. If you look on eBay, you know, they're pretty hard to find. So this is a gift, you know, that somebody's going to be happy to take home today, you know, that kind of thing.
This is an amazing half bottle of water. You cannot find these on eBay.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, and I say, now the cost of bidding on this bottle of water, if you want to bid on this bottle of water, is 25 cents per paddle. So you've got 3 paddles, right? You like this half bottle of water a lot. So you really want this bottle of water. So you're going to bid all 3 of your paddles. It's
But you can choose to bid 1, 2, or 3. It's totally up to you, okay? So you decide, I like this a lot, I'm gonna bid 3. So you hold your 3 paddles up, right? It's like Scott's doing, he's used to it. And then you wanna make sure that it's 1/4 per paddle, you know, as evidenced by the list that you have, and the fact that the MC says, now this is 1/4 per paddle if you wanna bid on this half bottle of water. So you're gonna put 3/4 right in the center of the table. And then you've got all 3 paddles up in here. Now I roll the raffle barrel, and I call number 4. Nobody has number 4. Okay, we'll draw another one. Number 3. That's you. Oh, and you're supposed to yell robot. Robot! And if you don't yell robot, we make you come up to the mic and say robot on the mic. So we say, yell robot, loud and proud, let's hear it. Robot! And then we had one parent that said, bingo! We were like, everybody looked at her. She was a freshman parent. We're like, it's not bingo, it's robot. So
there was one section that definitely yelled robot louder.
Yeah.
That was right.
That was my co-mentor. So anyway, yeah, so that's how that works. Does that make a little more sense?
So you put the quarter
Yeah.
in the middle,
Yeah.
and on the honor system,
Well, so that's a good question that you raise.
or I forgot.
There's actually, right, no, there's
They
actually,
tell on you if you don't.
so a couple things about that, little tidbits. We usually use a glass jar, number 1, because it gives the MC an idea of when people are done bidding, when you hear the glass stuff, okay? And then secondly, there's several, we call them room monitors. Those are some of your volunteers, they're dads, usually dads. And they will monitor the entire room. And they will walk around and they will look at everybody and make sure everybody's bidding. And then when everybody's done bidding, they grab the quarters and they dump them into a receptacle and they put the glass back on the table. And then once that receptacle gets full, they come up and dump it in something else. But you have to have those room monitors because you like to think that everybody's honest, but they're not. So one of our Quartermanias, we had, there was a Dolce & Gabbana purse that came up. A friend of ours, actually she's a mentor on my FL team, owns a consignment store in Milford, Marcy May. And she brought in that purse. And we, at the time, we usually say no one under 21 is allowed to come in. And one of our mentors, he's not a mentor anymore, but his daughter was on our team. And the daughter's sister was a little bit older, but she wasn't 21. And they said, is it okay if she comes? You know, she's really excited about being here, whatever. We said, yeah, that's fine, I guess. As long as the American Legion doesn't mind, that's fine. So, and she wasn't going to obviously be drinking any alcohol. Her parents were there. So again, we've learned by experience after doing a few of these. So she came and she actually cheated. And so what happened was my husband was actually monitoring that side of the room at the beginning of, and we got to the halftime period because we always take a break halfway through, and he said, okay, there's some rumblings over there that she's cheating. Like, what should I do? What should I do? Should I tell the parents? Or should I say something? And I said, you know what? Here's what to do. Just go really close to her chair. Just kind of keep an eye on her. Kind of, you know, make a real strong appearance and real strong presence and kind of keep her honest. And so he was trying to do that. And then toward the end of the day, one of our coaches from one of our teams had brought a date, and she had a little too much wine. And yeah, and so this purse came up, and she wanted it, and so did the young girl, and apparently the young girl cheated to get the purse, basically. And so the one that drank too much wine opened her mouth about it and said it to the other one, and then this verbal altercation breaks out. And is that being recorded? I forgot. Maybe you want to turn that part off. So anyway,
We'll
yeah.
edit that out.
So that was pretty ugly. And so the guy at the American Legion, you guys, he was so amazing. He was like, oh, that's nothing. We get this all the time. You know, no worries. And so he went over there and he kind of smoothed it over by giving out free dinner coupons for them to come back and things like that. Kind of spoke with everybody. But can I tell you that I was mortified? I was mortified because additionally, we had the venue donated. I forgot to tell you that. So the American Legion had donated this venue to us. And it's like $200 to like rent this room. And it's like the best setup ever, isn't it? And in the past, he's given us our own bartender and everything. But apparently they were going through some changes in their employment with the bar. And so we didn't have our own bartender this last time. But we had our own. And they let us bring in our own food. And again, I told you about the lasagna. And then we also had, after that, Jimmy Johnson, Howell was one of our sponsors, and they actually donated some sub sandwiches for us. So we've had that done before. And then Subway in Heartland had also donated also. And then we had some chips that were donated by a Better Made Chip Company, and again with waters and things like that. So anyway, so we smoothed that piece over, but it's a real important task not to overlook the fact that you have room monitors. So those are a few of the people you need. You need a couple people serving food, but usually most people kind of get food in the beginning, and then that kind of fizzles out a little. You'll need a volunteer that will check people in when they come in the door, because again, they're buying 3 paddles for $10. Now think about it, if you have 100 people right off the bat, that's $1,000, right? So the goal is to get 100.
One thing that I would say too
Yes.
is think about you just heard all of this and you're still kind of confused about it.
Yeah.
Think about the people coming in the door
Yeah.
that have never done it. Your volunteer has to be able to explain at least their part of it real quickly.
Yeah.
So.
And so what we do is we found that people were a little bit shy about trying to bid, especially the first time. So we actually raffled off a roll of quarters. And we just said it's 25 cents total. You know, we want everybody to put 25 cents in the jar on the table, and just went through that whole process. So somebody actually, because think about it, you know, if you've got 100 people there and they're all putting in quarters for this roll of quarters, it's $10 worth of quarters that they can play with, you know, for a while in the game. But, you know, you're actually getting a profit from just that roll of quarters. So that's why it becomes all profit. I know it sounds like it's just quarters, but when everything is donated, it's free to you. You're not spending any money.
Well, yeah, because I guess I didn't
Yeah.
understand the beginning, because
Yeah.
you paid $10 for how many paddles?
3
3 paddles. And then they're also giving
quarters.
so you can, oh.
Yeah, no, one of the,
buy 3 paddles.
Yep.
Each time you can only bid up to 3/4. You can't bid more than 3/4.
no, well, if the prize required it, you would have to. So in other words, so this prize, say this microphone here, so this is actually 3/4 per paddle. So then I usually have somebody, so there's an MC and then there's like a van of light, and Vanna will actually do this. And she'll say, and I'll say that anybody that wants to bid on this, it's 3/4 per paddle in the jar in the center of the table. Is everybody in? Is everybody bid on this that wants to bid on it? Everybody in? And I usually will look at my room monitors and they'll usually give me the eyes so I know that everybody's in. And if they're not, they'll yell, wait a minute, we need more time. And then you just wait. You know what I mean? Is everybody in now?
So-
Everybody in? And then you roll the barrel. So say it's 3/4 per paddle. Now you're saying to yourself, boy, I like that microphone a lot, but 3/4 times 3 paddles, or maybe you have 6 paddles, because you can buy as many paddles as you want, right? So 3 paddles at 75 cents times 3. I'm going to do the math. 225.
Back yourself into that corner.
225. You're thinking, wow, why do I want to bid 225 on that? You know what I mean? But most of the time people do. Frequently they bid all 3 paddles, like the majority of the time, not always. Sometimes it gets toward the end, you know, when people start to shy away from that. So,
But halfway through the night, when the liquor's flowing.
yeah.
And when people aren't doing math.
They forget about math, exactly, and then all of a sudden. Now, I can tell you that our 1, 2, those quarter items tend to go a little bit better than some of the 4/4 items. Because even though we had some really amazing prizes that were 4/4, you're asking people to fork out $3 on one bid, you know, 4/4 per paddle, and they're thinking, oh wow, that's kind of a lot, you know? So even though they were nice prizes. Now let me see what I have. I want to give you some more information. I want to make sure we don't run out of time so I can give you the whole thing.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, to
Yeah.
clarify on that, so you can only bid a maximum of 3 times, but the cost of the bid changes depending on the price.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Per item, yeah, per item. Depending, but you wouldn't, when you present the items for bid, you as a team or as a event organizer don't want to go over 4/4. Nothing higher than 4/4. What you're going to want to do with something that's more expensive is have a side raffle. And we usually would have 2 items up for side raffle. Now we've done a couple of different things. We had a $500 gift certificate for a Norwegian cruise. We also had like a couple of weekends donated, like up north. We've also had, we did a lottery board where all of our parents were asked to bring in one or two scratch tickets, and we pinned them all to the lottery board. And that was really popular. And so what we normally do is we have 2 volunteers at the beginning of the event who will help somebody get their paddles and their balls, and once we get all that people settled, those people will go on to be the ones that sell the raffle tickets. And they'll just kind of walk around, and every so often the MC will say, don't forget the raffle tickets are coming around, you know, and that's something we should wait till the end of the night to choose. And usually that creates a little bit more excitement, and it gives somebody a chance to win a bigger prize. And usually we would sell our raffle tickets, they were $2 a piece, or 3 for $5. And a lot of times people would buy 3 or 6. One of our FL parents bought $40 worth of tickets. So, yeah. Not that they don't already give enough to the organization. Right? So what I'm saying is, like, the mentors and parents and coaches, they love to come too. It's not just like for the public, you know. A lot of people like to come. And I want to make sure I get you all the information, even though we don't have to go by this PowerPoint. I want to make
She
sure.
said it was in February during build season, and
Yeah.
I was one of the ones that went. It was a great break away from build season.
Yes, right.
Because you need
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
that was so incredible.
So when you go to the meeting with your parents the first time, you want to make sure you have the volunteer positions needed, and I've outlined each one of those in the document, including what that actually entails. So again, if you add them all up, I've said them all by now, but the room monitors, the people taking your money at the beginning. Now there's one other caveat to this whole thing, and that is that you need to have a whole bunch of quarters when you start the game. So what we do is one of our mentors will call his bank, and he gets $1,000 worth of quarters for us. You have to call and order it from the bank. They often don't have that on hand, so you want to make sure you call ahead of time. So he gets that $1,000. We have one person making sure that they sit there and do the quarters. Sometimes 2 people if you've got more volunteers, so 1 or 2 people. That $1,000 is not figured in whatsoever to your spreadsheet at all. So in other words, my financial manager that collects all the money, she took all the money and we took that $1,000 off, right off the bat, and gave it back to him. Because it's his money, right? 1,000 of that is his money. It just happens to be in quarters, he's getting it back in cash. So it's actually the same thing. So take that out of your sheet when you do your balance sheet. So that's important, because when people run out of their own, you can encourage them to bring quarters, but I would be one of those people like, oh crap, I forgot to get quarters. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you want to make sure you have them. And then when people run out of money and then there's still stuff that they want to buy, they want to make sure that they have quarters. Now, most people will spend an average of $40 or $50 a piece. I wanted to tell you about that. And so just by soliciting online, you can probably knock off half your donations just by doing that. Cedar Point, we did them. They have to be done in January. And they have a very short window of when they open and when they close. And they had something on there about special needs that they give to a lot of the special needs foundation. So here's what I believe as a salesman of our program, is that it's all how you roll it out, okay? So I took that paperwork and rolled it out, but I amended it a little to where we influence students of all types, including students with disabilities. In fact, we have some students with disabilities on our team, and they actually thrive quite well. They have, neuropsych disabilities and sensory neurodisabilities, things like that, which we do. So, I mean, that was the truth, but we rolled it out that way, and we were able to get 2 tickets from Cedar Point. So that was pretty exciting. But I'm going to tell you, the most popular prizes are the water parks, and we had no problem getting from Splash Universe and getting from the ones at Zenders. They did not give last time, but they gave the other 2 or 3 times before. The other 2 times before that. And then movie passes are really popular. Brighton NJR was real great. In other words, they only give to schools. So that's one of those situations where, oh, well, guess what? We're a school. So that worked out for us. You know what I mean? And then some will say, we don't give to sports teams. Oh, we're not a sports team. We're part of the school. You know what I mean? So that's how, yeah, exactly. And then when you can't be part of the education, it's like, oh, we're an independent organization. You know what I mean? We're overseen by the high school. Again, it's all how you roll it out. So that's how we roll that out. So let's see. And I use the spreadsheet to organize everything. So I will have the column that I contacted the person, like say for instance, Zenders, and then the donation is still pending. for water park passes, I will highlight it in red, meaning, say for instance, oh, they agreed to give me 4 water park passes, but I don't have them in my hand. So as soon as I get them in my hand, I make that block. And then, has a thank you been sent? Because you always want to make sure that you wrap up your fundraising with thank yous. And what we try to do is have them on hand so that when you give them the paperwork, and then they say, oh, here, like if you happen to walk into someplace and your timing is perfect, like Bright Bull, you walk in there and the manager's there and she's like, oh, I'm here, but I was just leaving. Oh, well, by the way, we would like to know if you would like to donate, you know, and then they write you out the certificate for family bowling, and you take it, you hand it the thank you, and you leave, and then you're done, you can check off the list. You know, that kind of thing. Some of them will send it to you in the mail, and you'll have to send back the thank you. And I do want to tell you a funny story before it goes on and on. I don't even think that you've heard this story, Scott, but when we first started doing this, we were trying to get all the places, you know, like, it was just me doing it the first time, and so I was trying to get all the places and how, like, real close by that I could, and so I actually reached out to Lover's Lane, and so she called me back and she kind of said, well, aren't you at the high school? Is this going to be awkward? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, no, I mean, it's all adults. Let's see. I don't know. We're serving alcohol. I mean, I think it'll be fine. And so she said, well, I'd like to send you one of our love kits, but I go, okay, well, let me check and make sure that that's appropriate, and then I'll call you back. So I look online, and it's love kit, and it's like a bunch of oils, and then it's like some massage cloths or whatever. And so, is this where you recorded too? Oh, gosh. So anyway, so I think that, okay, well, that looks innocent enough, and so I call her back, and I say, okay, yeah, sure, we'll take the love kit. That'd be great. Hey, thanks so much for donating, and blah, blah, blah. And so I figured, like most people, she would call me and say, it's at the store, you can come pick it up, you know, that kind of thing. So all of a sudden, I'm at home, and I get in the mail, and I get this, I'm not kidding you, ginormous box. Because the first time I did it, I said, well, how do I know that Jason Schrock's, like, grandmother's not, you know, going to be there or whatever? Like, I'm afraid, you know, like, how do I know superintendent's never coming or something, you know? But as I got to know more people and know everything, so the next time I actually did put it in there. And you know who won it? You're going to die. The guy that's with me today, Scott Fields, he won it. He's one of our mentors on our leadership board. Yeah, he actually won it. So, yeah, so you guys ask him what happened to him. So anyway, that's a funny story. But, yeah. So we've just got about 5 more minutes. I want to show you the video again. I think it'll make a lot more sense. Let me just zip through this and make sure that I don't leave anything out that I really want you to make sure. There you go. So a lot of, when we were preparing the prizes, you can use your own creativity to actually create the baskets, like, you know, wine and cheese baskets, and we kind of gave them all kind of a fun name. Here's the label that we made. This is what it looks like, and that's the label that we actually put on, like, a tag that went on the gift. And then in addition to this label, there was a sticker on there with the number of the item and also the quarter value. These are some of the packages that we had. Now, envelopes are okay. You'll see how we have a lot of envelopes. But we would give our packages fun names and stuff. And of course, the first time we were doing this, and we had that Lover's Lane gift, the lady I was working with on the event said, "Okay, what do we call this one? Like a drunken horny?" So I was like, "Yeah, we'll leave that alone." So anyway, let's see. We got Detroit Red Wings. They actually donated a autographed picture of Riley Shahan. Oh, Steve Ott, sorry. Riley Shahan was the puck. We had a puck by Riley Shahan. But anyway, see, that's the number, and then that's the quarter value. And so what we did was we provided, there's a big thing of fireworks and just fireworks. That's one of our movie packages. That's wine and cheese baskets. And then this one is the gardening basket, see number 68, it's a 3/4 value. And then this is what the list looks like. And so we had to create this list, and when the patrons come in the door and they purchase the paddles, you give them this list. And so you put all the items in order, and they come along and they'll look at all the items, and you'll see people on the movie looking, and then they look and they mark which ones they may want to bid on. Which is helpful, because that way if they want to get up and go to the bathroom or something, or go up and get another drink, then they know their item's not coming up yet. And so that's what that looks like. So see, we would call them different things, you know, like burger lovers package, sweet and salty. So again, take every donation you can. We even had Grand Traverse pies. They gave us 3 pies. So see how ideal it was, because there were probably, what, So we would put them with something else and make a really nice 1/4 prize, because again, 25 and up, you want to make sure your prizes start at that. So we put it with a basket of Better Made chips. They gave us like 18 snack packages, and you would think that that wouldn't be a very desirable price, but that was like really desirable. So we bought a laundry basket for $1 at the dollar store, and put all the chips in there with a bow, with the pie, and that was the package. So again, you want to make sure when you present the stuff, people are very visual. They like to see how it looks, and they love to look over all the stuff. And then you want to look in your own team first. Usually, I ask people what kind of talents do they have that they might want to donate. Carol Smith bakes cakes, like she makes like bakery cakes, fancy. So she donated a gift certificate for a cake. And then sometimes people will donate stuff that they might have had lying around the house that still has a tag on it. Like, have you ever tried to return something? Like I did. I had to return something at Meijer, and it was one of those rafts, those beds, inflatable beds, and then they don't take them back after they've been used once. And so I wrote to the company, and so, because that's how I am. And the company sent me one, and I had already bought another one. And so one of them was still in the box, and so I still have that. And so one of these times I might put that in the auction, because it still has a tag on it. So that kind of thing. But that's it. So think donations whenever possible. Like if you're out to dinner somewhere, you can, I've done that many a times where I've tried to ask for something to see if they would donate. Except for the Mexican restaurant, because I kept saying to my husband, let's get a donation. He said, Kim, they don't understand English. I said, no, Mike, really? And I said, we're mentors from Howell Robotics, huh? And like they didn't get it, and finally I said, okay, you're right. Never mind. Yeah. Question?
So how do you promote this to the public?
Oh, so we are so lucky at Howell High, because we have a great PR department. Our director of communications, Tom Gould, he sends it to WHMI. He sends it out to the Livingston Daily. And our teachers, one went in all the teachers' boxes. We tried to put them in the teachers' boxes at all the schools.
And what percentage of your crowd would you say are parents of the team?
Probably more than half. Probably 60%, maybe 50%. But we had a lot of return customers, and that's why I think in my paperwork I had mentioned when you're putting together the event, you may want to put out some pictures of the robots and stuff, because we forget that not everybody is not from the team. And so we had people ask, what do these robots look like anyway? And we were like, oh, wow, we need to put some pictures out, So, yeah. So
and don't discount your interactions with other robotics teams. There was a majority of people that were
from
other robotics teams
at
their event.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question.
And I'm going to invite all of you next time we do it.
Yeah, exactly. I know that.
It's really, really fun.
When is your next one?
Probably February, we'll probably do it, yeah.
Have you ever done a euchre tournament? Because I'm wondering if it's comparable to that.
I have not, but I have participated in one, and I would say, I don't know financially, I would say, first of all, it's a lot more fun, and anybody can play, because you don't have to know how to play euchre to play, like you do for a euchre tournament. Right, yeah.
I think this would be better.
Oh, it's super, I'm telling you, it's real, I love doing it. I mean, I love putting all the baskets together with the girls, like doing all that. It's really fun, and the parents enjoyed it too. And so that's where your parents can come in handy. Like I said, 10 or 12 parents. Word of mouth, though, is the best advertising. So we told all of our parents on the team to please tell 2 couples, so that please tell two couples to coming, and we can really grow this thing. And so last time we had 105 we had. Every seat was full. I think next time we're going to have to open up that curtain at the American Legion and fill up the back part of it too. But we're hoping to double that next time. And we doubled it from the time we did it before. So the word of mouth is huge. It really is huge. And again, getting the venue donated, getting the food donated, getting the pals donated. The way we did our balls was we bought beer pong balls, not regular ping pong balls, because they're a little bit smaller. And you have to number them 1 to, 454. Make sure you underline like your, ones like 6s and 9s, you know what I mean. Because we had an 81 once and we couldn't tell if it was 18. Even though do you know what I mean? Fortunately 18 hadn't been sold, so that was how we rectified that. But yeah, and then we stored them in egg cartons and numbered them all, so that when the people are giving out the paddles and balls at the beginning, they have an idea of, you know, where to pull the ball from. Because somebody will say, oh, 182 is my lucky number. Okay, let me look in the box. You gotta dig out the carton that's got that number in it. You know, but we do allow them to choose their favorite, but that's why we separate them all. So, yeah, so we can use them over and over again. That's the good thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
I didn't rush you, I just.
Oh, you're fine. Can I have a piece of paper? Can I just have you guys scroll your email addresses on? Thank you. Sorry. I was going to do it on a G Drive, but since I'm keeping you late. If you have any questions, I'm going to reach out to you guys, so please email me with any questions. I'm sorry I went kind of fast.
Hopefully it's all going to be, like I'm just listening to you,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that would be
You're
interesting
going
to
to just
hear.
pass it around, right?
So, I'm hooked. So you're going to hook in here.
Yeah.
Right here, okay? Thank you so much for listening to me, you guys. I really appreciate it. I never professed to be the world's best public speaker. I'm actually a nurse, which is proof that anybody can do this. So, yeah, right. So, yeah. So, and you know, all our interaction is one-on-one.